Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, and Ellen DePlacido is here with me also. Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning, Mike.
Hey, last couple times we've started with our organic gardening
Organic
sessions,
gardening.
and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
follow up on that today and maybe even the next session also. So, where were we last time? Okay,
Oh,
yeah, well, you
talking about when to plant cool
when to
weather and
plant
warm
cool
weather
weather and
plants.
warm weather, and we we
Mm-hmm.
we ended with that warm weather component where it's so important that you wait for the temperatures to warm up before you put those warm weather crops in the soil. Otherwise, they're just going to sit there and be exposed to
Mm-hmm.
diseases and insects, etc. And believe it or not, when the soil warms up, everything takes off. So
Right.
please wait until that particular time. But now we're come down to do you put in seeds or do you put in transplants from the nursery? What's the better way, or is there a good way of thinking about that?
Well, I think what you want to do is look at your plant list first. Typically, your tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. Um, you probably want to put some transplants in your garden for those plants, but you want to look for healthy plants only when you're ready to put them in the ground because you don't want to bring them home and have them sit there for 2, 3, 4 days before you plant them.
So true.
hmm Don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes. Just about everything else you might want to direct seed into the garden. If you plant them at the right time, they're going to germinate very easily, and you'll be eliminating any transplant shock that you might have to deal with when you put the plants into the ground. They also give you a wider variety to choose from. You can go to the plant store or the garden center, and there's tons of plants or plant seeds there. And you can choose from disease resistant plants, which is a helpful aspect when it comes to organic
Mm-hmm.
gardening. A lot of times your plants will be a little bit more healthier than they would be and less susceptible to diseases. But you can also choose from heirlooms, hybrids, organic, or even GMO seeds. And we've talked about GMOs. If you have any concern about that, you could also listen to another one of our radio spots about GMOs.
Yes. Okay. Very good. And if I can just
hmm
add to that, if you're going to direct
Okay,
seed, and you and I direct seed a lot of stuff, okay,
we do.
into the Emmaus Garden, and I do the same thing here
hmm
at home. But the key to that is as the plants are starting to germinate, is you need to keep them moist. Okay, you need to
Right.
probably water them every day, and
hmm
not hard. And you
hmm
can actually water these from overhead too, with a sprinkling can with a nice spray head on it and stuff like that, just to kind of keep them moist. Because those little roots, those little plants, if you allow them to dry out, they're not going to do well at all.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but you can also start seeds indoors, can't you?
hmm
If you want
hmm
to, and that's kind of
If
an
you want to.
interesting component to
It is.
gardening.
Yeah.
And some people really love to do this. Okay, and but you got to keep in mind certain requirements. Okay, those requirements being light,
Light.
so important. That's the key.
hmm
Some good
hmm
light. Okay, you probably can't start your seeds indoors on the windowsill. It's not going to work out right. Okay, some kind of a good soil mixture of sorts. Okay,
hmm
it doesn't necessarily have to be a seed starting mix, but it needs to be something that's light. Okay, and it's not going
hmm
to, bind up on you. You need
I think
also
the most thing is not garden soil. Don't try to start your seeds indoors in regular garden soil.
very good point. Okay,
Right.
you know I
hmm
I typically use some potting mix.
Potting mix.
Yeah, from different manufacturers, and that seems to
hmm
work out fine. It also needs to be kept moist, and you also, if, depending upon the temperature of your house, okay, you might need some supplemental heat.
Okay.
So, and the other key points, the big mistake people make is they start things too early,
hmm
and then you get yourself into this problem of their plants are now they're getting long and leggy. I'm getting tired of taking care of them because they've been in the house for 3 months, etc., and it's not ready to go outside. But so wait, okay? Look at the
hmm
seed packages. Okay, they tell you what period of time prior to setting out that you should start them inside. So pay attention to that. Also, keep in mind that these plants need to be hardened off before you put them outside in the garden, and that's a gradual, adaptation to the outside environment. Taking them outside for 2 or 3 hours one day, and even starting in the shade, and gradually increasing that time over a period of a week or so before you put them in the garden. And we did a very thorough job, I think, on some of our radio spots on this particular topic also.
Right.
So, Ellen, we haven't talked about garden design yet. Okay?
No, we haven't.
There's three kind of. I put things in three categories again. So, what might
Yes.
those categories be?
Okay. Well, your traditional, that would be your plowed or tilled garden. And if you're thinking traditional, you want to think about your space and your location. Probably if you live in a subdivision or something, you're not thinking traditional garden. Also, your mounded garden, that's when you kind of mound up the soil directly from your surface, and that facilitates a higher density of planting. In other words, you can plant more plants in a smaller space, and it provides pretty good drainage. What we like to use are raised beds, and initially that might cost a little bit more, but it allows for more productivity and less labor. There's less weeding. It's easier to water. And it does help prevent compaction. People aren't walking on it. So that helps your plants also if you have a raised bed.
Okay, those are good points. And well done by the farmer's daughter. Okay, okay, okay.
Yay.
And one of the other reasons that we use raised beds, we garden here in town, and a lot of the spots where people want to start community
Right.
gardens. Okay, they used to have houses on them before, and they tore down those houses and they backfilled everything. You go to those lots and you try to stick a shovel in the ground, you can't. Okay, other than
Mm-hmm.
about an inch and a half, and that's it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, to get around that particular problem, we use raised beds, and we like to use a height of about 10 inches.
Right.
And it's so very important to give good growing space, and then you fill those beds all the way to the top, and you use that opportunity to add some nice organic material to that mix, and they'll work fine.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use a lot of different types of material. We use wood primarily, and we'll get 6 to 8 years out of that material as when we build those beds. So, Ellen, it looks like we've used our time again for today. So
Okay.
we'll have to pick up again on this topic a little bit later. Thank you. Now, bye bye.
Bye.